Welcome back to SHIB Planet, everyone. This is Ace. Today we're going to find out how much your typical Shiba Inu whale balances will be by the end of December 2021. I'm going to run another simulation and I'm going to take advantage of today and I'm going to address the recent price activity which caused the price of Shiba Inu to temporarily jump up to the 9,000 Satoshi unit mark. And yeah, okay, let's get started. First of all, thank you for all your support recently, guys. I know you guys seem to be really liking the simulation, so I'm going to continue on that trend for a while whilst I mix it up with some other research videos. Having said that, I'm not a financial advisor and these videos are not financial advice. Please continue to consider them for information and entertainment purposes only. Okay, cool. So I think we should start off by addressing today's recent price activity. Shiba Inu is currently trading at 8736, but as I was preparing this video, I did send out a message to the group when it was above 9,000. So you can see that the price topped today at 935. If I scroll down to this section here, you can actually see this is the hourly chart. It was approximately 4 hours ago when we were trading at about 860, and then there were two large spikes, which one immediately catapulted us above the 9,000 Satoshi unit mark, and then the other one jumped us to 922, which was the high of the day. And then immediately after that, there were some very strong corrections. So we're just going to address that at the moment. So basically, in order to find out what happened, I just went to the Etherscan, and when you click Etherscan, you can click on transactions and then filter by the largest transactions. So I pretty much did that. I'll quickly show you what that looks like. So this is the Etherscan. Sorry, I think I'll just head back. So this is the Etherscan. I filtered by the addresses which had the largest balance within the last probably within the last 12 hours, and I identified one particular address, and this address purchased about 814 billion SHIB and distributed it to a number of wallets. So this sort of activity is highly suggestive of a type of exchange, whether it's a centralized exchange or a decentralized exchange. It's not really not particularly clear, but then part of that activity was, in my view, what would have contributed to at least a couple of these spikes, according to the data which I found anyway. And let's just see. I filtered by the biggest one, which was I think 23 billion SHIB, and you are able to find that it's this particular address here. It's a wallet with 5 million. And they just increased their position to about 34 billion over there. So that's some of the activity which is happening. And one of the reasons I think it's happening is because as the market is heating up, a lot of people are expecting the market to jump up. So these balances here are a combination of new time, I would assume new time people, day traders as well, and people who are capitalizing on the upcoming bull market. And since we're talking about bull market, we'll quickly do a macro analysis. At the moment we've been using a macro analysis as our indicator for where the market is going, and I had set a $2 trillion global market cap target as sort of like an indicator. For those of you who are new to this is a coin market cap, and this chart here is the global total cryptocurrency market cap. It's the total market cap of all cryptocurrencies which are registered on coin market cap, and we use this as an indicator to see a broad indicator to see where the general market is behaving and where it's going, and we can use it as a predictive indicator. So currently it's filtered by year to date, and currently we have crossed the $2 trillion threshold, which we've been monitoring over the past few days with our simulations. And let's just see what that means. I'll zoom into the 7-day. This is the 7-day chart. So if it looks like we've been testing we've been testing the $2 trillion resistance point for quite a while. We experienced some resistance trying to test it. We broke it briefly, and right about the 14th, we broke down, and then we just continued, and then we tested it again, and then broke down solidly once again, and then now it looks like we've clearly breached through the $2 trillion $2 trillion market cap, and that's a strong upward indicator at the moment. There may be another correction. So why is that important? That's important because that's an indicator of where the market could be going. The last time we saw behavior like that was in April. If you have a look here, April was very similar. There was a lot of challenges to the $2 trillion sort of cap, and then it breached through, then came down again, and then once it came up again, it went on to its next target, which was 2.5 trillion. And if you've been monitoring the charts and a lot of altcoins at the moment, this is typically what a lot of people are anticipating and expecting. So we're going to use this as the fuel behind some of our assumptions as we run today's quick simulation. So I'm just going to quickly head back here. So for our whale simulation today, I'm actually going to use this real world data. Since we know that at least one wallet bought 814 billion, that in my view is towards whale territory. It's actually, according to this one, they call it a shark because it's just below a trillion, and a trillion tends to be whales, but I'll still categorize them more or less together. Let's just see if we can do a simulation to see where that total of 814 billion. So what I'm going to do is let's buy 814 billion SHIB. I'm not going to correct the price too much because there's not much different. I think according to the graph it was actually 8,600, but I'll just leave it at there. So I'm just going to overwrite this and say 814 billion. So okay, cool. So that's roughly 6.7 billion. So I'm just going to quickly adjust that so that we are accurate. Okay, cool. So this is how much was purchased. So now I'm just assuming that either a shark or a whale has this sort of amount. If chances are they actually bought it at a much lower, because anyone who has those large balances, typically they bought Shiba Inu when it was pre the boom. So this amount would be typically lower, but we'll just watch this amount here. So now that we've done that, let's try and see what we're going to do. So I'm not going to make today's video very long, so I'll just take from the previous simulations. So in one simulation we had some assumptions where we ultimately got to December at a market cap of 44 billion. So I'm just going to borrow from that. And thank you for all your comments, and you guys seem to like this $100, because I know there's a big part of the community who have $100 investments in Shiba Inu. I think you'd fall typically between here and here. Okay, cool. So I think we put 5 billion by September, and the reason we put that at that stage was we would typically be anticipating at least a Coinbase listing by that stage, and the market definitely to be heating up, because as you know, the market is generally following Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is on a strong uptrend. I'm going to try not to make this video too long. You know me, I like looking at Bitcoin charts. So Bitcoin, as you know, it's doing really well at the moment. Actually, it's gone down quite a bit. It was 47 when I checked, quite a bit, but I'll just quickly head back. Okay, cool. So let's put 5 billion in September. Cool. So at this stage, a shark or a whale would probably be a $6 million investment, or at least would be now 17 million. So that's really, obviously it's really big at those sort of numbers. Okay, cool. Let's move it on. I think we used, what did we do next? We jumped it up into October. We were very conservative. We said we added another 6 billion at that point. and cool. And I think we added 6 billion because we wanted to at least match our all-time high. So if we match our all-time high, so Shiba Inu had an all-time high in April of 2021 of about 14 billion. So actually, I believe this is why a lot of these purchases happened. These purchases today, they happened today over a period of 6 hours. If you look at the data, I do believe it's people who are noticing that the market is on an uptrend and they're trying to capitalize on at least a Shiba Inu hitting its all-time high. And if that happens by around about October, the total balance of that particular wallet, which purchased 814 billion, would now have jumped from 6 million to 26 million. And I know for sure that there's a bunch of whales. In fact, I know there's at least one whale who sometimes comments on the on the comment section, who has at least trillion. So I'll jump it up to a trillion for you towards when I get to December, mate. Okay, cool. So let's see where we go. So in our simulation, I think we had said that this is typically where we expect Shiba Inu to be if it reaches its all-time high in October. I don't have my Bitcoin chart out, but for those of you who are new, we're following the market with the thermometer being Bitcoin, and we use the stock to flow model as the basis, because the stock to flow model has been reliably predicting the price of Bitcoin ever since its inception, and it even was on par with Bitcoin at around May when it hit its all-time high. But then because of outside market conditions, the price of Bitcoin fell. But so the assumption is that the market is going to catch back up to what the stock to flow model says the Bitcoin price is. So some analysts are putting it at 100K towards the end of the year, which I think is entirely possible. And another version of the stock to flow model puts Bitcoin at least 80,000 towards the end of the year. So either way, the market, if it continues to follow that trend and there's no major FUD which happens, that's the underlying fuel which is going to pump the altcoins, and that's the wave with which altcoins such as Shiba Inu are going to be rising, at least until we get our ecosystem up and running. So at this stage, if that happens, there's going to be a lot of attention on altcoins, and Doge is already doing really well. So if Doge starts doing well, sooner or later, the media will probably replicate what happened in the month of April, where they compared the Dogecoin killer to Doge, and that in combination with a higher users from Coinbase is very likely to push us well beyond this. So we used that as an assumption last time, and we put ourselves at 25 billion volume in November. So I'm going to add that, and I will tell you why we added 25 billion. We added 25 billion because the market cap, or the top of Dogecoin was 90 billion. At its all-time high, and around about this stage, Bitcoin would have already surpassed its all-time high. And if that market sentiment can continue to hold, it's likely that smaller market cap coins will get a lot of trickle effect, and the biggest gainer of that is most probably going to be Shiba Inu, which is looking a lot different than it did in April. So that's one of the reasonings we added in our simulation. So at the moment, it's looking at at about a 40 billion market cap. So that particular wallet address, which was 844 billion SHIB, is now worth a whopping 80 million SHIB. So if that's a single user, which is entirely possible because there are definitely people with those balances, that's pretty much the size of their balance. But we know for sure that, at least according to this one wallet which we examined, that that balance is technically split up at least into about 26 separate wallets. But I'm just doing a sort of macro macro on this, just so I can hit two birds with one stone. And I think that is almost it. So what did we say for December? So if the and all the assumptions here are if the market continues on an upswing. So we added an extra $5 billion there for good measure, I suppose. Um, so if I add 5 billion here, so that takes us to the market cap, which we expect to be, assuming that things continue to rise in the bull market, which is entirely possible, because if Bitcoin continues to rise and it gets to even 80k or even 100k, there's definitely going to be a flow on effect, because as Bitcoin begins to reach its peak, it becomes um, like a, because it's not going to move very much. It's not really worth it investing in it for short-term growth, because if you can see here, even in the stock to flow model, it's going to be fairly flat for several years until the next halving of Bitcoin. So what happens after that is people are going to use the heat which is in the market at the moment, and they're going to be investing in smaller market cap and altcoins, and this is where Shiba Inu is going to be getting some of its um, new holders in that simulation. Okay, cool. I think I can leave it there. So basically, we're sitting at 91 million for a whale, which is pretty good. And let me see if I can just add that into the trillions. I'm just going to add one here, so it becomes 1.8 trillion. So a 1.8 trillion holder would have, that's 203 million, which is absolutely astronomical. But that's actually quite okay, because there will be plenty of liquidity in uh, in the market at the moment. Because if 203 million sounds big, but in comparison to 44 billion, it actually means that there's plenty of liquidity. And if that amount remains, then um, yeah, that's it makes it a lot easier to withdraw. But I can't be confirm that. Let's quickly see what burning 2% will be like, because I think we added burn last time. So the price at this stage will be 0.0001, which is a really good indicator. So if at 0.0001, let's see what impact that does on this and on the price. I expect it to be big, because these are big balances. So not much difference in the price, but yeah, about $4 million difference. $4 million difference. So that's pretty much it. It's important to point out that one big gaping assumption which these simulations do is that the market will continue trending upwards. And I know that we are using the stock to flow and what market analysts are saying, but if you don't know, one big flaw with this model is it just assumes supply, and it doesn't really assume demand. The supply there, this is what the price should be, that according to supply. But in reality, markets are driven by fear and greed. When markets are greedy, that's that rainbow line. That's when you see it can go even beyond the blue line. And when markets are fearful, then it can go, just for example, over here below the blue line. So anything could technically happen. It's as I said in my previous video, it's very likely that with all the attention which will come to crypto, it's likely some sort of regulations might get imposed, and yeah, some sort of major FUD could happen, which could cause a lot of the gains to drop. So not financial advice, but if you ever see that you've gone up more than 2-3x, you're not going to be called a paper hander for taking out some of your gains. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Peace.